Welcome to Real Talk, the show where we look at issues facing our youth today. My name is Ome Kongo and I'm your host, and today we're going to focus a little bit more on the spiritual side of what our youth are dealing with and how they can take themselves to the next level by digging within. Some people say that you must begin within to take yourself to that next level, so we're going to talk about that. And I have a very special guest who's going to take us in that direction. Mr. Juneous Pettijohn is a native of Cincinnati, Ohio, but has been a Washington, D.C. resident for 7 years. He's an active member of various civic, community, and professional organizations such as Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Toastmasters International, and the American Public Health Association. He's an alumnus of both Kent State University and the University of Akron, where he earned his Bachelor of Science degree in Community Health Education and a Master of Public Health degree, respectively. He applies the quote, "Great things in life are achieved with passion," and is using his passion for yoga to help others discover their true passions. To achieve this, Juneous founded Transforming You, LLC. Mr. Juneous, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you very much.
Well, I read the bio. Everybody has a bio. But who is Juneous?
That's a good question because I was thinking about that on the way here and also on my train ride. I'm somebody who believes in serving others. That's always been a passion of mine. But while serving others, I also believe in helping those to reconnect with themselves and to create a life that works for them. That stems from me finding my own business. Because me growing up, I tried to run from my past. I tried to kind of hide the fact that I was in the foster care system. I was a little ashamed of it. But I guess with the last few years, I've grown to accept my background and use that as a way to inspire others. And not to apologize for what happened to me. And by me, serving others and helping people to kind of find out who they are. Because a lot of times people don't know who they are. I didn't know. I'm still learning myself to today.
Now, you sit here with such confidence. And some people can say, I grew up not having this, I grew up not having that. But saying that you grew up in the foster care system, that's major. But you seem to be so comfortable with yourself. But there are other kids out there who may be watching us who have experienced the foster care system, who may be in it right now and don't know how to manage it, don't know how to find themselves. Why were you able to be successful? Why didn't you get lost in the system, as they call it?
That's a good question. Let me go a little background. I speak in like my elementary years in foster care system. It was I wasn't adopted until the second grade, and I was in an adoptive situation until I was in the 8th grade. Okay. Then I spent my last high school years in the foster care system. And for me, what helped me personally, I always knew I wanted to go to school to be a doctor. So it gave me a focus around that. Now, I really was in environments that were really nurturing, that didn't support me educationally, but somehow, I guess, through the gift of God, the Spirit, I was able to push forward. Because I knew, and when I was being adopted in my adopted situation, I knew school was my outlet. Because I hated going to that environment. I hated it with a passion. So by me going to school and staying in school and hoping that there were no weekends or no summer vacations, I just went out to develop my passion for education because it was my way to get away from my environment.
So you would say for people who are involved in the system who may be in a way that's frustrating, because obviously some people may be having great experiences in the system, coming from where they were before feels extremely negative. But you would say people who may be having difficulty in it, they need to find that one thing to focus on to help them get through the process? Yes.
I mean, whatever your passion. Mine was education and helping people, and the others might be rap, hip-hop. Find like that, be your focus. And when I was in school, I was involved in a lot of activities, so I stayed involved, kept busy, and doing things helping others.
But did you always consider yourself to be a spiritual person, or did that start to develop as you were going through this process?
It started to develop over time, especially within the last couple of years, especially when I found yoga. That helped me to become more spiritual. I say within the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten a lot more spiritual. It's a process for me. I went to church, but I was like, I wasn't all into it. I was not a Bible reader, so I was about to try to quote scripture. It took a long time. I guess I needed to. I always consider myself being hard-headed, so I needed to learn the hard way to do things before. And I needed to go through trials and tribulations before I was to be where I am today.
Right, but when did you and you don't have to describe a particular situation, but going through the system, as frustrating as it was for you, what did you do at your lowest point when you felt that this was completely hopeless? Maybe you didn't feel like your life had any value. What did you do when you reached your lowest point? Because I want young people out here who may be watching, and they may not even be dealing with foster care. They could be dealing with other issues. But as young people, we always, when we're teenagers or younger, there's something that's just almost a breaking point. Have you had those experiences, and how did you overcome them?
You know what? The one I always talk about now is in 2008. I call it my aha moment. That's where from 2007 to, I would say July 1st, 2007 to July 31st of 2008, I was becoming the jack of all trades and master of nothing. So I was involved with a lot of organizations, serving on various leadership capacities. I was going through my first yoga teacher training. So I was becoming the master of all trades, the jack of nothing. And I always feel like I needed to be out there for others, doing other things. But also I had in my mind to start my own business.
Okay.
What result is I was stressed out. I was irritable. I was angry. I was unhappy. So I'm the type of person, when I do something, I follow through. So I completed my last commitment, was my first yoga teacher training program on July 31st, 2008. And I took that August to reconnect with myself. And I realized I was miserable. So what it did, it challenged me to really go back as a child and realize, why was I involved in all these organizations and what did I want out of it? And I realized I just wanted to be seen, to be heard. I wanted to be liked. I wanted people to notice me. And as a child, nobody really paid attention to me. Nobody said, oh, you did a good job. Wow, you're doing these good things. I needed that constant proof of others. And once I kind of realized that, maybe kind of, I guess I became a lot more open and a lot more honest with myself.
Yeah.
And I guess the yoga helped a little bit, but I think it was just me, just become honest with myself. Now, within the last couple of years, so I'm always willing to admit that I was having a problem telling people I was in the foster care system and how I was able to overcome that.
That's very interesting. So you think our young people, they need to claim their story as opposed to run away from it?
Yes. Never be. Everyone has a story to tell. Never be ashamed of it. I mean, whatever happened to you, everyone could learn from your story. I hope people learn from my story. You could do it. It's up to you.
But realistically, don't we still live in a culture where people are kind of shamed about their past? Maybe if they're the product of an adoption, or if they live in a household that's alcoholic, or there's other types of abuses. Don't we really teach people that they should be ashamed of those types of issues nowadays?
Yes, because you're watching the media, you always have these big happy stories. And you always see the end product, but you don't see the work that people go through.
Yeah.
And especially a lot of these celebrities, a lot of them went through some challenges to get to where they are. And a lot of times, I think you need to hear, folks need to hear more of that before hear more of what they went through as a child to get to where they are now. And I'm reading a book right now about on various yoga teachers. And just because they may be yoga teachers, they may look like you and I, or may feel easy to get along with. They go through stuff.
Yeah.
And they're going to deal with things that happened as a child, and they're still dealing with issues now. And I'm like, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have our stuff to deal with. I come to embrace my stuff, embrace who I am, and just accept it.
Yes.
And so it's all part of who I am.
Absolutely.
But also, I'm responsible for my own actions too. At the same time.
So take responsibility for the actions and also embrace who you are.
Oh yeah,
the good, the bad, a little bit of everything.
Yes.
So that, I think that's very important for our youth nowadays. So when exactly did you start making your path towards yoga? Did you discover it at a young age? Is it something that you came into later on in life?
I never even heard of yoga as a young age, as a child. Really? Never heard of it. It was in 2005. I started to practice at home. There's a book called Yoga for Everybody. So I started just practicing on my own by myself. Then I realized, I like this. So I decided, it took me a while to take my first class at a gym. It was at the YWCA downtown D.C. I took my first class, and I loved it. Then a buddy of mine, he said, look, there's this, they're doing a yoga teacher training. I'm like, okay. Okay, fine, okay. Fine, perfect. I'll check it out. It was like going through that and learning from that and start teaching. I really started to get deeper into the path of yoga, and it's like, this works. Because I'm a type of person, I'm good for taking trainings. But I'm good at taking that information and just cast it aside. And what helped me into the yoga practice is we actually start teaching. Like, oh, and maybe and to struggle with it and the challenge of teaching others and helping others, and I realize I like this because I like helping people, and I love the smile on people's faces when after a class or going to learn how to do a different pose and learn to reconnect with themselves.
But a lot of young people, when I go to different schools, maybe in some of the private schools, high schools, there may be some yoga offered, and of course on the collegiate level, there are classes offered at school gyms. But it doesn't seem like yoga is something that's offered to a lot of young people in school. If there's sports programs at all, there's football, there's gymnastics, maybe there's cheerleading. But do you feel like yoga is something that should be offered to more young people?
Yes, yoga is all about getting connected with yourself and learn to appreciate who you are. People may be dealing with issues, anger issues, body issues, self-esteem issues, and just by taking that time for yourself, you really to learn to kind of love yourself. Because we're in this busy society. Even kids today, if you're watching them being involved in activity, sports, social media, trying to stay with the latest trends, they kind of get lost. Right. And just taking at least, I always say a little bit of something better than nothing at all. Just about taking 5 minutes of something, you're like, oh wow. And yoga's not about chanting or trying to read every scripture in the Word. Just about taking a moment for yourself and making it work for you. I'm a strong believer. For me, I learned to make yoga when it comes to yoga, I learned to make it work for me.
But what about young people who are saying, well, I don't have money to get a membership and join a studio? What you're saying may sound interesting, but it takes money. Are people able to do it at home? Do they have to go and find a studio? Is it really expensive? What would you say to them?
Google it. Go on, do YouTube. Check out some of the videos. See, can you do that pose? Oh, it's cool. Okay. And there are a lot of, if you look on the website, there are a lot of studios that do offer free classes. Everything here, just take a class. Or if you're at home, the best way, like I said, Google it, go on YouTube, and check it out there. And see, I'll go to the library and get a. That's how I started. I started with a book, and I started working from there.
Okay.
From at the library to check out a yoga book.
So, what's the number one reason you would say that someone should try yoga? The number one reason.
To learn to love yourself.
To learn to love yourself.
Yes.
That's deep. So it's not necessarily about getting in shape. It's about getting into yourself.
To me, personally, yes. That's a byproduct of doing the physical practice, but the big problem is to love yourself. Because you can be in shape all you want, but if you don't love yourself, it's going to show.
Wow. And you feel like you can't do yoga without loving yourself?
You could learn to. It's a practice of loving yourself. You might hate yourself and try it, but it takes practice and learning to be honest with yourself. You can really begin to learn to love yourself even more.
Now, when we come back from the break, we are going to talk more about your business, but do you also teach yoga classes to young people who might be interested?
I can. I'm not right now, but I can.
Okay.
And also another aspect of yoga is meditation. Which one that's where you just learn to be quiet and just kind of quiet the mind, and that's excellent to me. It's really excellent to help folks to kind of really sit down and connect because we're in a business society.
Yes, texting, phone calls, emails, everything.
And learn how to make meditation work for you. While you're on the metro, you can meditate. While you're driving, you can meditate. While you're washing dishes, you can meditate. You can meditate while you're eating. Like for me, I just came back from a 17-hour train ride, so I used a little bit at a time just to sit there and just meditate. Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that as well as your business and how people can get in touch with you right after this break. We'll be right back with more Real Talk.
When you earn your GED diploma, the barriers in your life fall. Take the first step and get free GED information in your area at 1-877-38-YOUR-GED or yourged.org. Earn your GED diploma and begin your brighter future.
Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we look at issues facing our youth today. My guest is Mr. Juneous Pettijohn. You've been talking to us a little bit about getting in touch with our spiritual side, particularly with things like yoga. And before we get a little bit more into your business, Transforming You LLC, I do want to know a little bit about people who helped you turn your life around. Because so many of our young people today who are dealing with particular issues, maybe they're in the foster system and they hate it, they feel like there's nobody, obviously because it's not a parent there, biological, they feel like there's no one there to help them. But my philosophy has always been there's always somebody who can help you, whether it's a teacher, a priest, a cop, anybody. Who are some of the people who helped turn your life around?
I always say my very first role model was my teacher, Mrs. Hackett Waters. This is the time she was my elementary school teacher, and she was there when I was in my doctoral situation. She was just one of those teachers who went over and above. She was a disciplinarian, but she was one of the teachers. She was there for every student. She was very creative, very artsy. One thing she always loved was the Muppets, and one of her favorite songs was songs about the rainbow. I can't think of the song, but it's why there's so many songs about the rainbow from the Muppet movie. And so she really used that like as one of her themes when she's teaching folks. And I also remember her son was disabled, was challenged also. So I guess it kind of helped with her compassion. Also, looking back on it, I appreciated how she was there for me when I needed, because I was trying to be a bad kid, and I was kind of failed at it. But she was there to kind of put me right in place. Also, and when I left my adoptive situation, it was this mother and daughter. Her name was Karen Hoffman and her daughter Tiffany Hoffman. They just took me under their wings. It was there for me. And it was funny that I think about it today. I didn't appreciate it at that time. I really did not appreciate it at that time. That they were there for me, and was like took me on place with them, got to interact with their family. Just they were people who they didn't know who I was from Adam. I didn't know who they were. And the fact that they were able to give them a little bit of themselves, I'll always be internally grateful to them, because they were just there for me. It's like even I don't think my foster family at the time really. I don't think I appreciated it at the time. But now it's like when I think about it, it's like that was so impactful to me personally, because they was there for me. And I would say the foster family now, Kathleen Davis. She's my mother. She's the only one I would claim as my mother, because she was a foster mother. She was a loving one. She's deceased now, but she was a very loving individual. She was there for everybody. She was the matriarch of the family. She made me laugh, but she knew how, and which I'm learning how to be honest with people. But she did it where she was very loving, and she spoke the truth. She spoke the truth. She spoke as it is, but she was there for everybody when people needed it. They might not appreciate it, but she was there, and they could always count on her. And I have friends at college, that was there for me, and also my best bud right now. He helps me out. He's one of the people that kind of, you always need somebody to put you in check.
Right, absolutely.
And when I first met him, I didn't appreciate that, honestly. Now I do, and he kind of keeps me honest. He'll let me know, oh, you're doing too much again. I'm like, okay, whatever. But he'll let me. You always guess you need somebody to help you put you in check.
Absolutely. So the young people just got to hang in there and really just learn to appreciate those positive people, even though there may be just a few. Learn to appreciate them now, because they'll help them get them through.
I always say that people are always willing to help you. You might not realize it at the time, but people are there to help you. They're there to guide you, and they're always watching you and have your back. When that neighbor asks, "How are you doing? What's going on with you?" They're just kind of see where you are, just checking up on you. When somebody, you might find somebody slipping, doing something nice for you. You might not always know it, but
absolutely.
But if you just learn to, I guess, accept that, it makes the world makes everything a lot easier.
Now, was it in this spirit of service that you decided to start Transforming You LLC? I mean, everybody, you could have said, I Love Yoga LLC or Yoga for Life, but you said Transforming You as the name of your company. Is it the spirit of service that led you to create a name like that?
Yes, I love the theme of the butterfly, how it starts out as a caterpillar, it goes into a moth, and transforms into a butterfly. I love the whole transforming butterfly, because we're from one stage, and we had to go into a place of hibernation where we do need to do some work on ourselves. And eventually we emerge into the beautiful butterfly. And I figure that our lives are like that. Each time we're going through a different journey. And me, I'm always going through a journey where I'm one way, to kind of take that moment to take a step back and emerge as a butterfly. I had to do that in 2008. Where I was like, let me just chill and kind of take a look at myself. And it's funny, I started Transforming You back in 2005. It wasn't until 2008 they actually came to fruition, and I started to put steps towards it. I was good about talking about things.
Yes.
But I was I could talk about it to death, but I was not good about putting it into action. And I don't know what happened, but I needed to put this into action to help those to reconnect with themselves. Because people are walking zombies,
Right.
and people are so busy. And I just get them to really just take a step back and just sit there and just like examine where they are in their life.
And so what is the goal of transforming? Is it strictly teaching yoga? Is there's another aspect to what your organization does?
It's got to get people to reconnect with themselves and to create a life that works for them. And it's through yoga instruction and life coaching. Also, I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I also do Thai yoga body work.
Okay.
Right now, I'm going through the nutritional training program through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition to become a certified health coach. Where I'm into holistic practices, which is very holistic, kind of help people to kind of deal with those issues they may have around food or the issues they have around themselves.
Okay.
Personally, that may impact them on why they doing the food choices. Because I'm going through the same thing that folks may be going through right now, and kind of get people just take them on, just kind of learn themselves. And I'm all about finding your passion. People are doing things that they don't want to do, but they feel like they have to. I'm here to tell you that if you're passionate about it, do it. Just don't talk about it. You have to do it. Get out there and make that effort to do it.
So if somebody contacts you today and says, I was watching the show, I was on your website, and I'm interested in becoming or joining Transforming You, what will they get? In addition to some classes, is it also consultations? What will they get by becoming involved in Transforming You?
Life coaching services.
Okay.
I also do Reiki. Reiki is just like where you just kind of offer energy healing, Thai yoga body work, and private yoga instruction. And once I'm done with the nutritional program next year, I add that service to it. So it get a well-rounded service tailored towards their individual needs. Because everyone's different. Some people may not be into the yoga, which is great. They might want to do not the physical aspect, but there's other aspects such as meditation. They might want to learn how to do that, or they might want to learn how to learn to let go, how to deal with stress, how to manage your life. That's part of where the life coach comes in. You might learn, maybe just want to sit there and just get a nice Thai yoga massage, or maybe a nice Reiki healing.
Now, this is real talk. So let's just be real. I mean, how do you deal with people who say, like, for example, I do some yoga, and one of the issues that I've had, biggest challenges is getting my male friends involved, and of course, young teenagers as well, try to get them the benefits. People say, particularly some of the men who are teenagers or who are my older friends, they'll say, that's not a manly thing, I'm not into that, and I have so many challenges trying to get them involved. I'm sure you encounter that a lot.
All the time.
How do you deal with that?
Well, you have to take them from where they are. Yoga's all about starting from where you are. That's a lot of guys may play sports, basketball. Have you got done playing shooting hoops and you're sore the next day? Or if you're lifting weights, sometimes you might be sore because you might not stretch. Or whatever athletic challenge that you do, that you may feel like, oh my God, my back is killing me. I know, for example, a lot of people have problems with the lower back. But by stretching out those muscles in your body, will help relieve those different pains in your back.
So you say today, authoritatively, that it's not just for women, correct?
It's not just for women. It's not. I think a lot of guys could benefit from practicing yoga. You just have to find a class and a teacher that kind of works for you. Me personally, I'm not into the touchy-feely stuff. I mean, personally, I love the challenge of a power yoga class and get there like, oh yeah, get those hamstrings. I also like the quieter side of a yoga class, like where you just release stress.
Yes.
So I like those two spectrums.
Okay, so somebody who's watching right now who may not be ready to jump directly into the yoga, but really is starting to buy into what you're saying as it relates to Transforming You and the philosophy. What are some of the small steps people can take right now, especially young people watching, but of course maybe some parents watching as well who may find what you're saying interesting, and they're saying, oh, I'm caught up in the text message culture and the emails, and I'm not getting enough sleep. What are some of the small steps they can take right now that can start to change them?
Take time for yourself. Just take at least 5 minutes. Just do nothing. Maybe just sit there and just chill. Just sit there and just do nothing.
I assume that means turn the phone off.
Turn the phone off. Just take 5 minutes. 5 minutes. It's not a lot. And just sit there and just be silent. You'll be amazed what come up. Or if you're working through any issue, you may be amazed what solutions you may come up with that issue that you may be dealing with.
And after that, what are some other things that people can do? If they really feel like they can't just stop and be silent, are there other types of multitasking activities that they can do? Can they maybe write an email while they're in a stretch position? I mean, I'm joking with that, but generally speaking, we're multitasking.
You know what? I always tell people. A lot of times, people have lower back issues or they have tight hips. While you're watching television, sit on the floor.
Okay.
While you maybe try reading on the floor, or if you're typing, be on the floor, typing that paper or doing whatever on the floor.
Okay.
A lot of times people have shoulder issues. I always tell people, if you carry a heavy book bag, try to carry it in your hand or carry it on your opposite shoulders.
A lot of young people could benefit from hearing that.
Yes,
absolutely.
Practical issues. Try standing up for a while.
Okay.
Standing against the wall, you let the wall be your friend.
So you can multitask and start to get yourself in. What you're saying about watching the TV while sitting in a certain position, that does make a lot of sense.
I mean, I like to have fun with it. Like if I'm on a metro train, I always, while the train's moving, I would stand in the center of the train and just stand there and practice my balancing.
On the train, you can start getting involved in it.
Yeah, you can make it work for you anywhere. Like simple stuff like I have a pillow right now where I'm sitting. You use that to kind of bring your back to the chair.
So really, when you're talking about what you do transforming, no problem. So what you go transforming you really go beyond the studio. It's almost like the studio is an accessory that you may not even need because there's so many things you can do in your life right now that can start transforming you.
I always tell people you're on the yoga practice. You're on the yoga mat for 1 hour at a time. You have 23 other hours out the day, to practice yoga. So your life really begins off the mat. And away from the studio. That's when your life really begins. And
I assume you'd advertise getting enough sleep as well.
That's very important. Very important.
Okay.
Getting a lot of sleep. I mean, that's part as far as help weight loss. I also really stress, plenty of sleep, drink plenty of fluids, learning to eat properly.
Okay.
And just learning to love yourself. Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself. Now, where can people go if they want to get more information about transforming you?
I have a website. Go to www.myyogalifecoach.com. I'm on Twitter under myyogalifecoach. You can hit me up on Facebook at Transforming You LLC.
Okay.
Or an email address, transformingyoullc.com.
And is it transforming YOU? Transforming you?
I'm sorry. Transforming TRANSFORMINGU LLC.com.
So just the letter U, because people go in and just type in a little bit of everything. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say transformingyou@gmail.com.
Transformingyou@gmail.com.
Yes.
And myyogalifecoach.com.
That's the website.
All right.
myyogalifecoach.com.
Well, I thank you for this. We talk about so many issues here, from education to violence to music, but it's very important for us to kind of just tone it down and talk about it. People can get in touch with their spiritual side.
Yes.
So
I can talk about this all day long. I love it.
Well, thank you. That concludes another episode of Real Talk. If you have any questions, you can email me at realtalk@omekongo.com. And remember that youth are 50% of our population, but 100% of our future. Let's take care of them. See you next time.